I thought I'd shock you all by turning up in a witchy type outfit. It's rather like a 1960s or 1970s house coat. I'm not a witch, but I sort of certainly I wouldn't like to have much to do with the devil, certainly. Um, but as far as herbal remedies, if there are any herbs left on the planet or natural remedies, I must admit, like, I tend to value medicine too much to want to vary it too much. I'm worried that the actual ingredients for medicine itself may run out because they all need to be distilled and sort of intensified and cooked up in chemistry labs. And they all probably, or a lot of the ingredients for the medicine, do come from obviously our environment anyway, because we've got nothing else but our environment apart from maybe other people or animals. I'm sure that there are animal components in some of the medicines, and maybe dead human remains or something in some of the medicines. I would worry about that. I know the Chinese have alternative methods, but sort of have things like tiger teeth coming into their superstitions and that. But certainly I am an advocate for the environment, because without it, there wouldn't be anything. Um, yes. But anyway, to go on to the main topic of my conversation today, I recently saw, last night in fact, saw most of a video about Elon Musk, and he seems a very charming young man. I admire his ambition and his spirit. I don't know whether he may be being ironic. He comes from South Africa. Um, Now, South Africa has to do with mining. He would probably know that electric is a more intensified version of energy than gas, and more processed anyway. So it would take more processing. So I don't know whether he's ironic, or I do sort of hope that there are other planets out there and that it's not just a vision that we're being given. And I do agree that it would be nice in some ways for humanity to spread out to other planets, and to encounter aliens if we have to. Um, I have always admired the Starship Enterprise program. Some of the topics there, like the cowboy fight, where they had to just keep believing that they hadn't died. That particularly was a surreal episode that seemed to go on for absolutely ages. Um, and it's frightened me still in my imagination, but most of the time, the Starship Enterprise seemed not governed by violence, within the crew certainly, and open to conversations and reason, in a way that I admire. Now, Elon Musk, I noted from the program, not started off, I mean, obviously his mother told us quite a lot about his upbringing before that, and I have no doubt that he's very clever. But we were told that he'd studied and met a girlfriend in an abnormal psychology class. Now, for someone studying abnormal psychology, they might be afraid or cowed out of coming up with a sensible point of view. That may seem a very rude and outspoken thing to say, but it may really be true. They would be human-centered, thinking that the only thing that mattered was impressing other people. They wouldn't necessarily be caring about animals, and caring about the environment. Um, Oppressed peoples all over the world, Aborigines, Indians, so on, had more um, of a spiritual to an extent. I'm not advocating everything they did or do, supposing that some of them are still alive. American Indians and so on, they were definitely attuned to the spirituality to some extent of the natural world. And I do sort of say that we have to be, to an extent, retaining some gratitude for the situation we're in, as well as possibly, I'm not dissing his ambition to land rockets on other planets if it's not a bounced off firmament, and not an illusion. I'm not dissing that. But the human enterprise, the animal, our chain of being, even from little small insects that birds need to eat and so on, it's on worms in the ground. It is all interactive. That there is such a thing as there was the thing about the tree, in what happened when a tree fell in the Amazon rainforest. Did it make a sound if there was no one there? It might be that there are repercussions that we have to be more attuned to. Abnormal psychology would have dissed people who believed that they might be able to try and imagine what birds are squeaking about or what they're chirping about. So Elon Musk would have felt very self-conscious in an abnormal psychology class, especially if he was very bright, which I am assuming he is, because I know people, my friend Steve Earnshaw, for instance, admitted to me that he was so bright and so much able to process so much, that he himself felt as though he was almost disabled because he was different. He is different. I hope he's still alive.